counting stars. Get it together. Your mind can't sleep when you let it serve. Now you wanna see me fall. From a quarter mile, I can see you at the goal. Think about it, ring won't tell you what I saw. When you break it up, you'll see who had it all. You had it all. You said you wanted to fall into oblivion. Forget about the world we're living in. Fall into oblivion, oblivion, oblivion.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Collegiate R6. A pleasure, as always, to be with you. My name is Jays Wills, and joining me on the desk tonight is Barrett, and we are here to guide you through what should be a fantastic Week 3 matchup between the University of Alabama-Huntsville, better known as UAH, against Georgia Tech Gold. Both of these teams looking to kick things off tonight in a strong way, both 2 and 2, or excuse me, 2 and 0 undefeated so far in this Swiss system, looking to remain as one of these few undefeated teams in this South Division of the Open League. Eager to see how it plays out. Barrett, what about you?
I'm definitely excited. I'm glad to be back here again, another week of CR6. It's just part of our routine now, which is absolutely great. Both matches tonight, I know we talked about it pre-production. Alabama-Huntsville beat the B team of Georgia Tech, so now they're going to be facing the A team of Georgia Tech. So it'll be interesting tonight if they can mimic what they did last week in order to produce a result that they want again.
It wasn't just a beating. Some could call it a slaughter. It was a destructive victory, to say the least, from UAH. 7-1, 7-1, I believe, the scoreline on only those two maps that they played last week. So the A team of Georgia Tech, better known as Georgia Tech Gold, they're definitely coming out here tonight to, let's just say, make up for that one last week. Make sure their B team looks up at them and goes, you know what? Our boys did some good work up at the top. I guess only time will tell in this one. I do think Georgia Tech still have their work cut out for them because UAH, they have been on an absolute tear in the recent weeks across every league in the collegiate ecosystem here. So I'm excited to see how they fall into their element here tonight once again.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. This was a team that was on the cusp of getting into the Invite League. Not only to be shut down by NC State, but rightly so. NC State's been on a tear. But focusing on Alabama Huntsville, you're right. A team that has been coming together. Chemistry is flowing, and strats are working. So we'll just hope they can keep it up tonight. And we're going to be on Cafe tonight to start off. So we'll see how everything works out. I'm definitely excited.
I mean, yeah, speaking of Cafe, let's take a look at the overall map pool, see where we're going to end up tonight. Consulate and Coastline, those first two bands off the table, you hate to see them go, but it's not too much of a surprise. Cafe, Oregon, our second map, this one picked by UAH. Theme Park is where we're going to end up on our decider, so that's a fun little spicy one to throw in the mix, but we've got to get there first. Both of these teams have to make it through these first two maps, either taking their own map pick or doing what I call the collegiate special, taking their opponent's pick and going back and forth. A shame that we're not seeing, those three really surprising maps, Theme Park, Coastline, and Consulate. It's a shame we're not seeing those, but it's not surprising to say the least. That is generally what we have come to expect. Eager to see how it plays out because I think that both of these teams could give us quite a show.
Yeah, you mentioned it. I think the last time we casted last week, we got to see Coastline, and that's one that you never really see a map that is really picked by another team unless you're trying to maybe throw a team off guard. But it's good to see that we're going back to kind of the classic maps here with Cafe and Oregon, two staples right here in the CR6. You mentioned ecosystem, so interesting to see Theme Park as our decider. But that's a team that are or I'm sorry, that's a map that not a lot of teams are familiar with, just because it's such a weird map. But I'm definitely excited. I hope we get to that decider map because I always love these long take me to the distance maps, competitions between two teams.
Well, while we're waiting on one player, I will use this opportunity to actually mention some of the other teams in this Southern Division of the Open League. Specifically, UNC Charlotte. That's the big one. They're also undefeated. You've got Ohio State, also undefeated. The University of Kentucky and Virginia Tech. All of these teams joining, of course, Georgia Tech and UAH here at the top of this Southern Division. They're all looking strong. And as always, it seems that this Southern pool of teams is just insanely stacked. I mean, even in the Open League, we've got some formidable teams who just have not been able to make it into Invite, unfortunately. So, despite being relegated to Open, they're here to make a statement. They're here to really make the Southern Division their own. But to do so, because a couple of these teams have been cut out of that Invite spot, they've got a lot of good competition for them. I mean, Ohio State and UNC Charlotte, these are the big names in the Southern Division across every collegiate league. These are teams that have been around for a long time and have gone almost all the way, if not all the way, in season after season of even Collegiate R6. UNC Charlotte is one of those teams that had a really good season 5, but just wasn't able to close it on out. So interesting to see how the rest of these matchups play out across this league because this is a Swiss system. Our matches are dictated strictly by the week prior's performance. A couple more teams, only 3 teams after this week are going to remain undefeated. And so taking a look at whatever matchup results from there, I mean, that'll be incredible to witness.
Yeah, and you mentioned 2 programs that have been longevity and been in the CR6 system for a while. The Ohio State University definitely is a team. I was running those guys. If you're queuing just in unranked, those guys are studs, and for them to be a consistent program over and over. But on the flip side, if you're going to be a team that's relegated here in the Open, I don't think you want to be deterred, especially if you're in the South Division, because it shows that you're still going to be able to have to play against tough competition and not just some people who are just coming in for the first time. So it's going to be good for both of these teams. I think you're right. It is probably one of the strongest divisions in CR6 right now, just because there are so many teams down there who have been just absolute wagons, if you will, a team that can just keep going and going and going. But tonight we're going to see if whoever's going to rise to the top. Cream rises to the top, and I hope we're going to see a good product tonight between these two teams.
I really do think we will, but you mentioned tough competition, and I think for both of these teams, at least in this season of CR6, this will be the first time that I think both of these teams are tested just a little bit. Of course, in week 1, UAH they took on Ohio Northern and actually did drop a map, but in week 2, the Georgia Tech B team did not prove to be much of an issue. Same went for Georgia Tech themselves. They took down Wright State. They took down the B team of Akron. So impressive stuff from them both in those previous weeks, but this is definitely the first time that these teams are going to be tested. But thankfully, Barrett, we are good to go. Our teams are ready. The Moss is well in check, and we're going to see
Finally.
how Cafe unfolds.
Yeah, absolutely. Moss check, Moss check, Moss check. Just seems like every computer thinks that's a virus. But I'm definitely excited. We're gonna see Cafe here picking off. I'm starting off tonight for our map, so we're gonna get the bands rolling in here. I'm expecting. I mean, you have to imagine a Thatcher or a Jackal, and we're gonna see Thatcher right off the bat here. Of course, the operator that can destroy every, or at least mitigate some type of wall denial or any electrical device that the defenders possess. So taking him off the map, no surprise. It seems like probably the highest banned character, at least in CR6 and across the R6 pool of leagues. So no surprise there.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, just like any other map cafe, Thatcher can be so powerful. The basement, I mean, the first floor bomb site in particular, so many walls to get on open, but even in just the sense of utility denial, when you're taking that top floor position, pushing in through piano, taking what we call pixel, the corner between the Whitehall and piano, I mean, that is simply where Thatcher can excel as well. You roll down an EMP grenade, and then your ADSs, they're deactivated. Your Wamai magnets, they're not a problem, and you can force out that player right away. Mira is another one of those operators that is such a staple ban here. No surprise to see her gone, but the Nomad ban. Now that is a little bit more surprising, even though it is a pretty common attacker played operator here on Cafe, and every map in the pool, to see it banned out really suggests to me that one of these teams, they're definitely eager to go for that early roam, possibly. Go for a lot more roam than maybe we would normally expect. Of course, a Nomad in play, it limits your ability to roam. It limits your ability to flank around. So to see that go down, curious to see the implications of that in the actual gameplay. The Valkyrie, of course, that is a pretty common one. And the implications are quite clear. Information denial for the defense to make things a little bit easier on the attack. Just a bit.
Yeah, I mean the Nomad is a surprise because you leave the Jackal on the board, and of course we're going to see Wise Shogun already bringing out here, barring the 6 pick, but now you have a Jackal that can take care of a roam, which I think you see on Cafe. At least a lot of teams, especially like to play off of site and prevent and stall time from this attack with having 3 floors here. I think roaming is really a key to how you perform in this map. That could be the decisive factor in a round. But taking Nomad now, I think flanks are on the board heavy now. which it's going to be curious to see how it plays out. But I mean, I'm definitely excited. Hopefully, we're not going to be seeing a connectivity issue. I'm hoping not, but we will see in the later moments, hopefully.
To see this one unfold quickly. And just based on this lineup, we can make a couple of assumptions, at least about what we can expect from the UAH defense. You're bringing out the castle on this first floor bomb site. There aren't a lot of options you have when you bring in the castle, right? There's some pretty default strats. Maybe you utilize that castle barricade on the double door between Whiskey and Small Bakery and allowing yourself to establish a rotation hole from the kitchen double door into Whiskey Bar, playing that whole area of the map a lot more loosely. The same thing goes for this bakery hold. That's exactly what a castle allows you to do. You reinforce the wall between big and small bakery. You put a deployable shield, the one that Taciturn is now bringing out behind the bakery half wall, and you lock this position down for as long as you can. That's why there's a rotation hole in that bakery wall. Generally considered, you're not going to want to put a rotation hole in one of the most critical walls for attackers to deal with. But if you're putting so much utility and so much time waste directly in between that wall and the attackers, then that strategy can indeed go pretty well. The one thing we're seeing here, though, the bakery is not staffed right now. There's no defender currently holed up in here, but no attacker will be quick enough on their feet to actually get into the bakery to take advantage of that. UAH, a strong setup, just continuing to put everything down. Schmitz looks like he's going to be the player to lock down this bakery position.
Yeah, and you mentioned the extension. I think it's a different play here because not a lot of teams, you already see the camera buzzing above, so he has eyes coming for him to maybe get a quick kill through that door there as he's hiding behind the fallen over cabinet. So I think interesting play here is we're going to see the ability to maybe get the wall denial off the board. So playing smart here, a little different setup, but hopefully I think it's going to work out here to start, give a team a different look here and attempt to maybe, slow them down, which is ultimately your job here. You're just going to see Schmitz here holding down in the area and, just deterring the competition.
Interesting, he's not playing behind the half wall. In fact, he's playing here in what I call China, but you can call it what you will. He's just going to be locking this down. You've got JP and Taciturn both on the support, and Georgia Tech, they're not wasting any time to start this direct pressure. They're not going for a top-down clear, at least right now. They're just placing Mighty Africa right outside this small bake window. You've got Wise Shogun pressuring from the double door as well. But they need to actually make something happen here. They haven't been using too much utility, just spending this time to assess the situation. But now walking on through, that's going to provide the opportunity for Schmitz to look on up and look for a couple of shots there, but nothing will connect. Instead, the opening pick is found by Squash onto Taciturn. Mighty Africa finding the double now, cutting down Schmitz as well. A good frag grenade there.
Yeah, excellent pick by JP as well here as he was holding on the half wall where he thought we wanted Schmitz to play there and able to get a kill, but trade-off, if you will. The roam, at least the half roamer, if you will, Ella hanging out on the red stairs is going to be deterred. So left now with a 4v3. Of course, now all the pressure is coming from this big bakery, and JP's going to tag another with the UMP. He's going to fall, though. That's all right, though. Wise Shogun says, hey, we still have this in the bag. 45 seconds on the clock, 3v2 in favor of Georgia Tech. Candy Cane with the Alda sitting all the way down on the bar. Hard pinged by the cameras, so intel is known, or at least his position is known. 30 seconds left on the clock. Diffuser is in hand, though. It's just going to have to make that treacherous turn through Prep Bakery in order to maybe solidify this round for this team. Wise Shogun going to be peeking in here, and Scrumpulous shooting through the rotate. It's going to hit, not going to get enough. He's going to go down by Wise Shogun. Plant is going to be going down from Thunderhawk. Minutes left. Candy Cane's going to pick one up with the Alda. He's going to pick another one up with Shogun. Diffuser's going to be going down. His position is known. And Candy Cane gets the 3K to finish off round one here. Secure the first round for Alabama-Huntsville.
Impressive stuff there from Candy Cane. I mean, just wielding that Alda typically, I guess. I mean, that's what your Maestro player is going to do. You just hold down left click and you just obliterate the attackers that remain regardless of the situation. That's what happens when you get complacent, even in a 3v1. A mistake that Georgia Tech are likely not to make going forward, but very impressive stuff there. I mean, A great clutch, a seriously great clutch. Georgia Tech, they were setting it up so well. They dealt with the bakery pressure as soon as they tried, really. They spent the first minute and a half of the round just getting intel, dealing with or trying to figure out exactly what they were dealing with in the bakery position. But once they figured it out, it was a frag grenade. It was a couple of kills. Found one from above as well, the roam clear going down onto Taciturn. And from there, Georgia Tech just rolled on through and took control of the bomb site. But what they forgot is that Candy Cane was still up. He had 81 bullets in the mag, and he was hungry to clutch out the round, and that he did. UAH recovering a messy one, but they'll take round one.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see that's a great win for Alabama-Huntsville to get a win in Kitchen to start off. You know, many teams start off with the bomb site where they are now, so interesting to see how they play off here. It seems like another unorthodox strategy or setup here. You know, you have a shield set up in Cigar. You have basically every piano window except Ticket castled off. So I think right now the unorthodox setups are going to be interesting to see here because so far, at least in round one, it worked. You know, yes, you had to have a clutch, but I think just having the unorthodox setup was enough to stall time and not allow Georgia Tech to figure out what they were actually attacking.
Interesting you mentioned that because, you know, this I would say is unorthodox. This is a bit more interesting. Having, you know, the player here in piano, having a player in Cigar. Now, that is not something you see every day. Now, the bakery setup, that is no surprise at all. That's why I was able to actually predict it because it is something we see from quite a few teams who opt for that really time waste sort of defensive strategy, really committing hard to holding certain positions. And while that can really get you down at the end of the day if an attacking team knows what to do, which Georgia Tech proved, it can also, you know, prove pretty effective. You allow the time to work off the clock. You spend utility. You spend manpower. Something that I gotta say UAH did not do quite well in that first round. So we're gonna have to see them clean up that strategy if they want to continue to go with this overall, at least picture of a round, right? You put those castle barricades down. You put these more unusual deployable shields, and that's what the Taciturn is doing here. You've got this deployable trying to fend off this push in from the red stairs, not to mention a handful of mute jammers and quite a few ADSs. Actually, a nice little bullet hole angle here from the Taciturn. That could be pretty solid if anyone were to drop. But again, Georgia Tech, they're doing their due diligence. They're droning on through. They've now opened up that ticket wall, and they're slowly working their way on into piano. Dangerous, though, because Taciturn is still here, and if you're not going to deal with the Ella, then a swing could come around the corner. Squash, though, not going to let that happen. Opening up that stage window, nobody there on the coverage as Candy Cane had fallen back, and the Ella, Taciturn, says goodbye in this one.
Yeah, and I think that's the risk you take of being so extended out into Cigar there, especially despite you having a deployable shield. The Ash was able to eat up both the castle barricades and ultimately get a line of sight on you for Taciturn to fall down. Candy Cane, though, is going to take care of Squash. Schmitz is going to get rid of Thunderhawk. So now the attack is slowing here, and with 36 seconds left on the clock, Jello Shots is going to pick down Inscrupulous. Candy Cane's going to take down Mighty Africa. Time has to go, though. Diffuser is not in hand. 30 seconds left on the clock. Not really sure where they're going to be looking. Time to get some footprints going. Of course, can't do that right now with the mute jammer at his feet. He's going to be moving around. Wise Shogun looking left and right. 15 seconds left on the clock. He's going to go down. Great angle there by JP, doing all he can with the UMP. All left up to the Sophia now. He's going to get one, but he is not going to get the other as Schmitz is going to take down Jello Shots. And Alabama-Huntsville is going to take round two.
Now, this did look a lot cleaner, right? They employed a similar strategy, but this time, the unknown nature of it, maybe, is exactly what they needed to get such an edge on Georgia Tech so early on. I mean, once again, Georgia Tech, they did their due diligence. They sat back, they droned, they got intel. They tried to figure out exactly what the heck UAH were throwing at them. However, this time around, when it came to actually dealing with that setup, other than that first step, taking down Taciturn, the rest of the steps just didn't fall in the order that I think Georgia Tech were envisioning. In the previous round, the bakery setup that they knew pretty solidly how to clear, they used that early kill, and they cascaded that pressure onto the bomb site, really not slowing down at all. But once they encountered this one, right, they spent the time to deal with the Taciturn, but they hadn't dealt with Candy Cane, the player on the deployable shield holding the pixel angle. Now, that right there is going to be a problem. If you spend so much time dealing with one position and you feel proud about it, I mean, good. That is something that is hard to do, especially with an unorthodox setup, but you still have to go through those typical motions of clearing out that pixel player, burning that utility, getting rid of them. Is going to get the better of you. And only played a role. They got a bit over aggressive. They didn't have a lot of utility or time to work with in those closing moments, and Alabama-Huntsville expertly capitalized on it. So another strong defense, and honestly, Barrett, I am thrilled with what we're seeing so far. I love to see defensive setups that just defy the norms a little bit. It shows that these teams are actually putting in the work. They're practicing, they're stratting. It just makes me so happy to see.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it gets a new look. I rarely haven't seen that extension out, especially going back to round one. The extension of opening up Big Bakery Wall and then extending into Big Bakery itself. I thought that was really unique, at least to my perspective. So I'm sure you, a CR6 veteran, has probably seen everything before. So another question I think we have to bring up, though, is Georgia Tech is obviously seen this team already play. Of course, not this roster, but the other roster in the school. I have to wonder if, maybe there was Alabama-Huntsville did something completely different against a B team and is now doing a completely different strat itself against this Georgia Tech team. So maybe they have so many in the bag right now that they are being super unique and, throwing everyone off on the Georgia Tech side. But for the most part, I mean, it's been good. Strumpy is going to take some bullets from Goyo from the Whitehall. The C4 is going to be thrown and explode, but is not going to have anyone home there, despite having, well, actually, we're going to see Taciturn extended in all the way up into Whitehall. So very close here as the Goyo is left alone. But here we see another unique angle here created as the hatches exploded from piano into train cart. So, I mean, just like you said, JC, just unique strats.
I actually want to go back to the point you just mentioned, but before that, I mean, Schmitz, that's a good shot there. A nice angle there. Found onto Squash, nearly taking down two as Wise Shogun is going to flirt with death for a moment. And actually, I'll bring up that point after the round. I first want to focus on how Georgia Tech can recover this, because they've lost quite a bit here. And the hipfire kill from Unscrupulous is going to make that even more certain. Candy Cane with the SMG-11 lines up another, putting Jello Shots and Thunderhawk in a brutal 2v5. That's unfortunate there. A missed drone or a no drone, and so the face check from Jello Shots ineffective, and that is something made clear by the gun skill of JP. That leaves Thunderhawk all alone in a 1v5 situation. I'm gonna call this one a pretty impossible situation, especially now that UAH, they are feeling good. They're feeling confident. They're feeling aggressive, just peeking these angles. Schmitz, the dirty peek, onto the new Bal catch, and Thunderhawk says goodbye. But the point you made, Barrett, I do want to mention one more time. You mentioned that, wait a minute, last week, UAH, they played the other Georgia Tech team, and I just checked, they played on Cafe as well. So based on the reaction we're seeing here from Georgia Tech, I have to assume that one of two things is going on, right? Either UAH did not pull these strats out against the B team on Cafe, or that the two teams, the A team and the B team, just were not coordinating. They weren't sharing that information. And in a situation like this, when a team is actually sweating to make up some good strategies, actually putting in the work, having that counter-stratting, having that intel on your opponents is just so valuable, because you can hop into a lobby, you can get someone to put down a rough setup like this for you, and you can do some dry runs. I mean, that is what all of this information leading into a game can be all about. You can literally practice the identical setup that you can expect to face. And I don't think that's what happened in this week in between the games, just based on the fact that Georgia Tech are reluctant to enter into these clears. They're still trying to figure out what they're dealing with. And even in that last round, right, it was still vertical play on the tertiary bomb site. Nothing was too crazy there. But the reinforcements, the utility, it was extended all the way to the piano and the freezer side that time. There was a lot more utility allocated to stopping that attack head on rather than just holding down Cocktail. So all these little things that UAH are doing differently right now, they're all just adding up to be one big perplexing mess that Georgia Tech have yet to really get under wraps. They've got a chance to do so on this first floor bomb site because they came so close last time around.
Yeah, and another scary part, at least for Georgia Tech's sake, is this is your map pick. So, I mean, this is the map that you chose and said to yourself, hey, this is the team, or I'm sorry, this is the map that we wanted here. We felt comfortable on this. Schmitz is going to take down Wise Shogun as he is peeking from China. He's going to try to peek for one more. Nothing's going to be found there as well. A smoke has gone out. Seems like to be cover in the advantage of Schmitz here. So, interesting here. Oh, the ace Selma charge does get one piece of the wall, but not enough to vault in here. So Schmitz's job as wall denial peeler offer has done a good job at that. So as we see here, Thunderhawk is going to take care of JP. Mighty Africa taking down the Taciturn. So frags are now coming in the favor of Georgia Tech, and it's looking pretty good now. Of course, we said that all before because there could be a clutch incoming here. Not very sure where that Selma charge is. His position is known, so he's going to be droned out here, probably in a tough situation. Schmitz is going to be hiding here in Small Bakery, but hopefully he's going to try to get one pick before he goes to the grave.
Yeah, this time Candy Cane. I mean, this early aggression from the Alda-wielding Maestro it's dangerous, right? You're not in that clutch position, potentially, if you risk losing your life so early. Thankfully, you've got Schmitz to support this west side of this hallway, not to mention Inscrupulous, who is also playing this pretty aggressively. You've got all three defenders who are playing this extension quite far and wide from this site, and now Schmitz is going to come darting back and forth between the Small Bakery window. He's been droned out. There's attackers at all sides. Now, this is a precarious position, to say the least. The nades in the hand of Mighty Africa, they're not going to be utilized. Very odd, to say the least. He's going to take almost 90 damage there from a challenge there from Schmitz. Another kill has been found, this time by UAH. That's going to be now turned into a 3v3. I'm utterly perplexed why we're not seeing a nade being used. Finally, the nade has now been switched on, but Schmitz, he's going to get a kill in the meantime. The nade, a misplaced nade, is not going to take him down. Schmitz is just roaming free, and Candy Cane now will follow up, and it is just disaster for Georgia Tech. The early advantage that they had, gone. Incomplete shambles. Mighty Africa, all that remains, about 5 HP to their name.
Yeah, and you mentioned the nade is the curious thing. MVP, at least for this round in my eyes, was Schmitz. Did so much to hold down. He's going to fall down eventually to Mighty Africa, so it is not over yet. But with seemingly 10 health and the goo mine alerting the defense, and Scrumpulous is going to get the kill on Mighty Africa. And a lot of questions we have to ask from this Georgia Tech team right now. What are you going to do to change, to adjust against this University of Alabama-Huntsville's defense? Because right now it seems like Georgia Tech is, taken to the back and beaten by the shed by this defense by Alabama-Huntsville.
Well, that's one way of putting it. I think I think that in that round, it seemed that Georgia Tech were doing so well. It was looking like it was going to be their first round. Not only did they get the same amount of quick progress that they did on the previous kitchen attack, but they did it even faster. There were 2 kills immediately found, removing that presence, supporting the Small Bakery player and that bakery player. That would be Schmitz, right? And despite those 2 early kills, everything came to a shuddering halt, right? I mean,
yeah,
there's no nades. The nade usage that I highlighted and you highlighted, I gotta highlight it one more time, because you've got a sledge, right, at that window. He's got 2 nades in his hand, and sure, I guess that you don't want to risk wasting a frag grenade into an ADS, but it's not a waste, even if it gets burned, if you're going to have to watch your teammates fall and die around you with so much utility in your pocket. So maybe that was saving those nades for the execute. Maybe they knew there were ADSs there, and they wanted to get that burn beforehand. Maybe that's why we saw the push in Bakery. A couple of things there that I was just surprised to see from Georgia Tech when they looked so put together. They had a drone on Schmitz. They had a player at the Small Bakery window, theoretically, who could have cut off Schmitz from moving out of the corner. Just moving. simply a movement from the Jaeger would have meant his grave, right? But that's just not the angle we saw Mighty Africa hold. He didn't want to challenge that super actively, albeit worried that Schmitz was going to just pop up and frag out. But that is a worry that you have to assume in that situation, and you have to be okay with it. Because if you're going to allow your bakery player to kind of just walk on in, and you're not going to cover that, I mean, come on. That was some coordination that just needs to improve for Georgia Tech. And I was surprised to see that coordination start out in the round just so perfectly and then kind of fall away.
Yeah, it's just seemingly, as we're going to see Schmitz, who just is getting it done, killing Squash. I'm not entirely sure why. I believe on the white hall here. So, Flame of Danger here. It's Wise Shogun. Just getting too risky there, I think, especially with a man down. There's no need to peek that. But Squash going to go down early, so you lose the Ash, which ultimately was the reason that Taciturn fell last time we were on the site, because they were able to break the castle barricades from a distance. So the Taciturn has heard someone drop from red. Of course, sneaky bullet holes are going to be maybe utilized here as they're just sitting in minibar and ticket. Oh, he saw one, but he's not going to be able to connect. Going to be interesting to see. Candy Cane's going to go down, not entirely sure how. That's going to be a big pick on the board if they are able to get him down and out. I'm sorry, down and out, if you will. Thunderhawk's going to take down the Scrumpulus, who was going to the rescue of Candy Cane, so that's a big pick. The AK-12 is going to be eating. UMP is going to be fighting back, though, as JP, who's done so good so far defending, it's going to be a great job. The Sledge is known. The Taciturn is really going to be the vital part of this round right now. If he can hold people off from red, it's going to be very tough. We'll see if he gets it done.
Yeah, the bullet hole angle here. This could be exactly what he needs. No, we've got Mighty Africa, who's rotating around, just trying to tease Taciturn back and forth, but instead, that's going to be a more passive decision, dropping down that humidor hatch, falling off downstairs, and playing this one to a bit later in the round. A good decision there, because Candy Cane is essentially not revivable, and you need to figure out a way to bring this one back. Schmitz and JP, they're gonna have no problem doing it. They're gonna collect 2 kills. Taciturn whips out the pistol, finds one, finds another. Now the shotgun in hand to do the dirty work. And Alabama-Huntsville, they will secure their 5th round in a row. I feel like that first round was as close Georgia Tech have ever gotten to that round win.
Tough. It seems like we're saying the same story over and over. Georgia Tech gets 2 picks, gets 3 picks right off the bat, but just cannot get over the hump, get to that next phase of how you need to execute on a site. All about map control, obviously, in this game, and it seems like they're getting stuck in Piano, or they're getting stuck in Cigar on that red stairs, or at least on this bomb site. So we'll see. Of course, I think Alabama-Huntsville is going to do the extension vertically again on this map. We saw a couple cheeky angles with the hatch being blown up in Piano the last time we're on this map. But tough. You mentioned a team that's so close to getting at least their first round on their own map. Just tough. We'll see if they can come back here. But I mean, you have to get one here where it's going to get ugly coming when the position switch here.
Yeah, I mean, this one is. I wish I could
That's all you can say.
Yeah, I wish I could say I expected Georgia Tech to come out really strong here, and I didn't coming in to the matchup. Honestly, I've seen Alabama-Huntsville play before, and they are a strong team. It takes a top 2, top 3 caliber team to beat this incredible roster. It really does. But coming here into round 1, my hopes, they were immediately corrected. Georgia Tech said, we have got what it takes. Sure, we didn't close that round out, but I mean, they did everything they had to do to win that round against a setup that is tough to clear, against a team that is tough to fell. They did it anyway. Unfortunately, the Alda, that moment where Candy Cane just clutched up the round, I mean, seemingly stopped everything Georgia Tech had, and maybe they used it all in that first round, because 5-1 on defense, sure, it's not that unprecedented, but you've got to have at least 1, probably 2, 3 would be your goal, right? But 2 rounds here is about what you'd expect from an attacking team. You've got this tertiary bomb site, which should be, in theory, the easiest one to attack. And Alabama-Huntsville, they probably agree, given that it's their third pick of a site. But for Georgia Tech, they're struggling already. We can see them struggle here in round number 6 to figure out exactly what they're dealing with on their top floor here and how to actually get it done. They finally dealt with the Pixel Shield. The Goyo Shield has been burned, but they haven't dealt with the Cocktail Extension, nor have they identified that Schmitz is doing the very same thing as last time. The angle from Train Room, from Mining, looking up through that hatch, that is going to send Squash to the grave.
And that seems to be the story, at least for this first portion of the match. I mean, Schmitz has been the guy who's been able to get a pick left and right. He's got a little Z-ping, maybe getting a little random shot through the floor there. With his luck, I'm sure he'd be able to hit it, but Schmitz has been excellent there. We mentioned the angle before, coming back to this bomb site. But yes, it seems like the map control is on here. JP stuck in Cocktail, of course. He's doing a great job just stalling. Scrumpulous maybe coming here to aid his teammate in a chance here. He saw him. He didn't do anything about it. He's getting pressured from the skylight above. He's going to go down here. So maybe some progress here for Georgia Tech. 3v4 though. I mean, you're going to have to go here. 45 seconds left. Candy Cane throws a C4, not able to connect. Scrumpulous is going to take down, avenging his teammate as Jello Shots falls to the ground. 35 seconds left. Mighty African doing all that he can. Here's the C4 patched away here. The Goyo is going to take down Mighty African, though. It is not looking good right now for this Georgia Tech team. And Schmitz does it again here, winning round 6 for Alabama-Huntsville.
And the storyline continues, you know? The confidence from Alabama-Huntsville, it's clearly mounting, right? They are swinging more angles. They are just whipping those guns around corners, and they are clicking heads. And that confidence, I wish I could say it's unwarranted, but it isn't. They earned it. They have absolutely dominated Georgia Tech so far on defense. 6-0, a flawless half. To take this one, it would require Georgia Tech to get the flawless 6-0 sweep here, the reverse sweep, and that's not easy to do. Sure, you could have a round, maybe 2, maybe 3, even 4. But when you get down to those last few rounds, to chain 6 flawless performances in a row is just not a thing that you generally consider in the realm of possibilities, especially against a team that is so capable like Alabama-Huntsville. And one more point of concern is the fact that, I hate to say it, but Georgia Tech, this is their map pick. They wanted to go to Cafe. They said, we're ready for this one. We want to go this map more than we want to go to Villa, more than we want to go to Clubhouse or Oregon or Theme Park. They picked this map over all others. And this is not the result that they were looking for.
Not at all.
Alabama-Huntsville are coming out strong. They're showing no signs of weakness so far. And finally, on attack now, maybe we'll see that first sign of weakness from them, but it's not looking good regardless for Georgia Tech.
You know, and maybe now that you're up 6-0, maybe we'll see Alabama-Huntsville try out a strat that they've worked on. Of course, I think you can say they've been the strat masters so far in this first exchange between these two teams, but you know, maybe we see something different. We have the Cali brought here, of course, a little different lineup, not usually seen here, but you know, you bring the Capital, the Ying, the Cali, so it'll be interesting to see. Maybe they're trying a different approach, and of course, why not try it right now? I mean, I think you want to probably go to something that, if you want to get off this map as quick as possible, but for the most part, I think if you want to experiment in the CR6 format, why not try right now? If you're up by this much, then you lose this first match, I mean, you could always just go back to your bread and butter.
I suppose that's right. You know, you gotta figure out something that works for you, and well, Alabama-Huntsville, they seem that everything is working for them right now. They're pulling out the Capital. Pulling out the Capital. This is the first time we've seen this operator tonight, an operator that, in my opinion, is one of the most undervalued operators in the map pool. He has so much utility, so much potential to really just shake up this utility consumption simulator meta that just rears its ugly head seemingly just so often. That is starting to fall away, and I think with these new changes coming in the next season, it could really be the end of days for that type of meta. But for now, bringing out the Capitao, it's the perfect decision to combat this type of defensive setup. The pixel position, though, that's already been dealt with. There wasn't much utility there, and a Firebolt will ensure that there's no much problem to deal with that. Why Shogun? He's already hit the ground. Not sure exactly where those shots were, but he's going to be picked up regardless. So the Maestro and that Alda will be back in play, and guys can still be utilized. But what we're seeing here, look at this. We've got all of our defenders, except for one, except for the smoke of Mighty Africa, who has been forced back into Cocktail, forced back to take a lot more of a passive position here. Pretty good progress here from Alabama-Huntsville, especially the fact that Candy Cane finds a pick onto the Maestro, finally finishing off that early prey. Oh my goodness, here comes the drop. That is Unscrupulous, who drops straight on down the skylight, but his smoke completely covered that. He's now gonna drop down into Pillar, but not before he finds one onto the head of Squash. Candy Cane gets the follow-up, sight control completely gone. Mighty Africa, all that remains. Okay, he'll get a double kill, taking down two, but now there's three more players in his way. And Unscrupulous, the player who just had the gall to send it down the skylight, will close that round out. Alabama-Huntsville, they do the impossible. They take the 7-0 victory.
No regard for human life. I mean, Unscrupulous dropping down from the skylight. Well-coordinated smokes from the team right before he drops down. So great coordination by Alabama-Huntsville. But gosh, they look like a machine. Of course, Schmitz, Candy Cane both going 10-2. I think you have to say Schmitz and Candy Cane, with the scoreboard reflects that as well. Two guys that were really getting picks and kind of technicians, at least. Schmitz, being on the Jaeger on defense, did an excellent job of stalling and getting kills when you needed it, and ultimately just staying alive. I think that'll be a boost to survivability, and it was a great job. 7-0 by Alabama-Huntsville. If you're Georgia Tech, take this 5 minutes to regroup and maybe just need a morale boost. Of course, we've seen this all before. Maybe we'll see the old college specialties. You never know.
Yeah, you really never know. And I think for Georgia Tech, though, right, there were some things in those last few rounds that I think could be promising for them, right? We saw JP make a pretty critical mistake on that reading room and fireplace hall defense. That was, of course, the Smoke, who was playing that vertical extension a couple of rounds ago. That was one of the first times we've seen Alabama-Huntsville actually start to get overconfident. They have been extremely confident, and obviously, like I said, warranted, but this is something that Georgia Tech can capitalize on, and they need to capitalize on. Totally just obliterate anyone who wants to swing, anyone who wants to get over aggressive. That is how they will take this next map of Oregon in the series. But we'll be back in a few minutes. We'll have to see how that one's going to shake out. Alabama-Huntsville's map pick of Oregon coming up next. We'll be right back.
Say sorry. Oh, maybe I'll leave, baby, but I never will. No, so I choke you down just like a pill. Rising with each beat of the music is bringing the flames. Rising with each beat of the music is bringing. We're flames in the fire that keeps burning. We're inviting the night in. Welcome, my heart's so full, I'm devoting myself to the night. There's no motive, we're just listening, we're existing.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back after the first resounding win by Alabama-Huntsville, winning 7-0 on Cafe. Keep in mind it was Georgia Tech's map pick. We now take it over to Alabama-Huntsville's map pick, where we're going to be going on Oregon, where they're going to start out on attack. Jay-Z, I think you predicted it, but I don't think you predicted it that far, that Alabama-Huntsville was going to come out like this.
You would be right. I did say that UAH were going to come out incredibly strong, but I don't think anybody could have predicted a clean 7-0 when I think last week against Georgia Tech's B team, they actually let the B team take a round. So that's a bit unfortunate to say. But regardless, Alabama-Huntsville, they're clearly coming out here. They're ready to play. And I think we're going to get a good indicator of how Oregon is going to unfold pretty early on. Because Georgia Tech, they are starting on the defensive half, after all, right? And if they cannot chain a couple of rounds together, if not the majority of the defensive rounds, then it is definitely going to be a big problem area. And I don't know if there's much hope we can give them. But right now, hopes are high, right? I want them to come out strong, just like that very first attacking round they had on Cafe. If they can start things off like that on defense, I would love to see them take that early advantage to keep this one competitive. But our ban phase, as you can see between us, it's pretty much under wraps. You've got the Nomad off the board. You've got the Thatcher and the Mira taken off as well, rounded out by the Kaid. So nothing too surprising here. Again, the Nomad is that more interesting ban. You do see that quite a bit on Oregon as well. But you still are leaving the Maverick. You're leaving both of those ranged hard breachers on the board. A lot of considerations, especially on a map that hard breach is just so vital.
And, I mean, again, we also leave the Jackal on the board. I mean, it didn't actually seem to be a problem, at least for the most part, for either side. Of course, we only got to see one side really attack, but you know, I think just leaving the Jackal, we're not even going to see it out there. But the Maverick is the bigger thing, and again, we're not even going to see a Maverick either, unless I spoke too soon. No, so we're going to see the Yang. So left on the board, I mean. I believe in both team strategies, of course. Everyone has their own ideas of what they want to do. So we're going to see Capital and IQ. I know you're a big Capital fan, JC, but we'll see how these first strategies develop out here at Georgia Tech. If you're in Georgia Tech spot, you're going to want to come out fast and set the pace, at least in your favor, because it got away with you. It got away from you last map.
But maybe they can start things off strong, right? You've got a team on a strong team with a competent roster that you and I have casted before, JB, and seeing them go to a map that is another staple of this pool. I know that they did not pick it here tonight, right? But that doesn't mean they cannot be exceptional, because this is a map like Clubhouse, like Villa, that every single team in the collegiate scene, in every competitive siege situation, you've got to know how to play these maps. And so Georgia Tech, although they did not want this to be their primary map of choice, I think they could definitely come out strong here. Maybe Alabama-Huntsville, maybe Cafe was even a stronger map for them, and Georgia Tech, they did the honor of picking it, and Alabama-Huntsville could then just take their pick of any of the remaining maps. Maybe that was the case. Regardless of the actual situation, I think we're going to have to see how this unfolds already in this round. We're seeing a lot of big window pressure now mounting from both JP and Schmitz early on. A pretty direct approach, based on the fact that Candy Cane and Taciturn are both on this west side, and we're not seeing the early setup, nor are we seeing the dual hard breachers. They may not be going for your default attic and closet combined pressure. This might be a lot more of an aggressive approach.
Yeah, interesting play. Of course, what more could we actually expect from this Alabama-Huntsville team, who, ultimately is a team that came out here with strats that are super different. At least we saw in Cafe, or at least unorthodox enough, which we both respected. I know we talked about it in the break. So we're going to see JP with the Candela's spray in here. Of course, might be warded off by the smoke. Doesn't matter though. JP is going to be getting the diffuser down, so smoke is filling dorms right now. Wise Shogun's going to go down. Jello Shot's going to be down to ultimately everything. The diffuser is down, so is JP though, and I think that was just because of the smoke. So excellent job there to deter at least a life being made here. And Scrumpulous is going to take down Thunderhawk from Attic, so no one was looking into trophy. Smitch is left here. Does he have his Does he have his cross bolts here? He does not. So the default is going to be here. Scrupulous is going to go down in trophy. It's just going to be left to Candy Cane and Schmitz. That's Sophia playing under there. It's going to go down. Squash has to know someone's there, and he looks the wrong way. Schmitz getting it done again, wins round 1. I think if you're Georgia Tech, though, you got to be excited about what just happened there, because it seemed like the attack, though, got the diffuser down. You were able to get the picks at least more than the last first round we saw on Cafe.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to hit you with a. I'm gonna have to hit you with a big old disagree there, my friend. Because listen, none of that mattered, right? What we saw, all of that gunplay, it all happened in games, right? It all happened in dorms. Not a single one of those gunfights really mattered. At the end of the day, it was Schmitz outside the Capital in a post plant. The only way to win that round for Georgia Tech would be if they had enough manpower to just send 3 defenders out the window to get that double, triple swing onto the Capital. There's no way you're going to get that diffuse off. There's no way you can combat that from elsewhere. There was no time once the bomb was down. You couldn't rotate all the way around a small tower and go for a flank. You couldn't jump out of another window. The only option was to send it out that double door, that double window. And that was simply an option that Alabama-Huntsville were not okay with. They stormed in from everywhere. They were just contesting these early gunfights and never allowed Georgia Tech to even know where the bomb went down. So like you said, you may think that Georgia Tech, they're okay with that one because they brought it back. I'd argue the complete opposite. Georgia Tech came in there and just lost a round from a rush plant with a ying. Now that shocks your mental, if anything. I mean, that just says, we don't care about your defensive setup. We don't respect your gun skill. We're not going to respect the fact that you're ready to go and you're going to be guns up on this double window. We just simply don't care. We're going to storm on in and get the diffuser down. They did that. Alabama-Huntsville did that. They did it perfectly. Georgia Tech had no answer. I'd say that is definitely brutal. That is a brutal first round to start things off.
Listen, I was just trying to be optimistic, but moving on into round 2, we do see a complete different approach here. You mentioned the smoke rush in by Ying into that double window, a big window, if you will. Now it seems like they're going to be attacking from the default. In a sense here, that attic side, and Scrupulous is going to be attacking here from Kids Dorm. Maybe to get someone walking through this rotate into Kids. 2 minutes left on the clock here, but again, just different points of attack for this team that has been so good. Jello Shot's gonna seemingly get a bullet of fire here coming from the Capital, who's in right now. Drones are out, and that ultimately is gonna have the demise of Jello Shots as the intel is gonna go down as well. Schmitz eating with the LMG right now, just going ham. Mighty Africa is going to take down the Scrapulous, so at least stop the bleeding in a sense right now. Squash taking on his own ADS, and that might be bad late game, if you will, but right now it seems like Alabama-Huntsville has all the control in the world.
Yeah, they're looking to extend this control into something of an execute, but right now it's simply just mow down these defenders. You forced Mighty Africa back, you've taken out Wise Shogun, and now this one is quite a disaster. Taciturn is going to solidify with the pocket F2, sending the smoke to the grave, winning out the round in, again, a decisive fashion for UAH. It appears that just like Cafe, they are within their element on Oregon, and they show no signs of stopping at all. Schmitz just walked into attic, held down left click, using that LMG appropriately, and just demolishing the defensive presence on that side of the bomb site. I do like the fact that they changed it up, though. They didn't go with the same big window send. That's not a play you're going to be able to utilize more than once. But the fact that they pulled it off successfully in the first round, it just means that Georgia Tech's attention is going to be so strained. They're going to maybe put a couple of more ADSs on that big window. They're not going to allow those Candelas to do their dirty work. Instead, UAH said, you know what, let's just change it up. Let's go with a more stock standard approach. Sure, it was aggressive, but they approached from all of your default positions. Attic was pressured. The trophy was pressured. There was still a little bit of big window pressure, at least early on, but none of that was answered by Georgia Tech. It was simply an onslaught And again, Alabama-Huntsville on attack. Even so, on Oregon, are just looking absolutely decisive.
Yeah, and the only positive I guess you can draw from that is at least they didn't go back to the same bomb site. I know we've seen teams make the very foolish mistake of going back a third time to that site, but wisely opts to go down to basement where, I mean, this is where I think you can get a little more limited where you attack. I mean, you can come from freezer, you can come from main, and really you can come from blue stairs, if you will, but also the bunker. So I mean, we're gonna see here drones are gonna be in place here, and very foolish mistake there by Jello Shots as JP's gonna eat with the AK-12. Candy coming in here. Candy came running in with Ash. No regard for human life yet again. Here is running here. Is gonna be on Boiler Room Pillar. Just sprinting into sight. He's gonna get one more. He's gonna get ultimately gunned down by the Alda, but he did his job, ultimately being the entry frag, not just getting one but three at the same time. So with only 45 seconds left, JP's gonna end this round here, and Georgia Tech. I don't even know what to say, JP or JZ. Like,
you. Well, that's it.
It's crazy.
JB, we got JP, we got JZ.
So
We've got
many.
everyone. We've got everyone here tonight. But regardless of our names, there really isn't much to say other than the fact that Alabama-Huntsville are just better right now. It's attack on Oregon, and sure, this is increasingly becoming an attacker-sided map. Sure, this can go 3-3, but in the rounds that we've seen unfold so far, it's just Georgia Tech, they don't show many signs of life right now. I'm worried that this is going to be Cafe all over again, right? They had, albeit meaningless, they had more success in round one, right? In round two, they had some success, but less so. And in round three, it seems that Alabama-Huntsville are winning these rounds by greater margins every time they step foot into the map. Not what Georgia Tech wanted to see, starting out a defensive half that needed to be very strong. With 3 rounds under their belt, even though we're only 3 rounds in, Alabama-Huntsville have already done their job. The defensive half generally being stronger on this map, especially for a team that wanted to go to this map tonight, and a team that shows they're capable of very creative defensive setups. Defense will no doubt be their home, but they have found these attacking wins regardless of that fact, and they show no signs of slowing down.
No, you're right. I mean, this is tough, at least for Georgia Tech's sake, to have this just basically no chance here, at least in these first 3 rounds. Constant pressure is being applied right here by Alabama-Huntsville, but they've attacked from every angle every time. I mean, and Scrumpy, look, he doesn't even, he's just walking forward. There's no hesitation, or at least an attempt to be like, oh, I'm very scared to walk and peek in this corner. Smits is going to be holding the LMG, has someone held up in meeting room right now that is squashed on the roam. We'll see how long that chess match goes here, as we're going to see the move made by Schmitz, and Schmitz is going to take down Squash, just sprinting out from the garage there into the main lobby. So pressure being applied from all different routes of this map. JP and the Scrumpulus is going to get 2 picks on the Georgia Tech defense, and it's going to be Mighty African left here with Thunderhawk. Mighty African is going to get a pick here on the extension into Blue Bunker. Is going to lose quite a bit of life, though, so the smokes are going to be filled out. Mighty African's going to say, hey, I'll throw my smokes out here, too. JP's going to take down Thunderhawk. Mighty African's going to take down JP, though. Diffuser is down, but it does not matter. And Scrupulous is going to take down Mighty African. And Alabama-Huntsville wins round 4. Not as fast as last time, but same result and same fate coming for Georgia Tech.
Regardless of the very one-sided nature of this, there still is a point of analysis to make, and something that I think a lot of teams are going to look at this VOD, and they may keep this one in their pocket, because what Alabama-Huntsville have shown, right, is they have shown now that on both of these bomb sites, we've seen them played twice each, both the top floor site, kids and dorms, and laundry and supply room. Every round, we have seen a different attacking approach from UAH. Sure, the overall idea of all these approaches is just get in there fast and just click heads. But every time they are approaching from elsewhere. Let me take you back to round number 1. It was a full big window send. Then in round number 2, they worked their way in from attic, from master, from trophy, a more default take of the top floor site. You go to basement. The first time around, it's all about J bunker. It's all about pillars and putting that pressure from the north side of the map. And just in that last round, everything changed again. It was a laundry push. It was a freezer push. Getting your crossfire onto the laundry site. UAH are proving just how versatile of a team that they are. A force not only to be reckoned with by their gun skill that they're showing here right now, but my oh my, they are proving their worth. They can do a whole lot more than just click heads. They have got composed attacking strategies for any bomb site from any direction. It is looking really good, and even though this is so one-sided and it's not as competitive as us casters like to see, it is really fun to watch UAH just come into their element like this and just look unstoppable, pretty much.
Yeah, and you mentioned just a unique combination of strategies. We're going to finally see the Maverick come out. I believe this is the first time we've seen that. So, anything just to see a change will be good, or at least a unique part of strategies. We're going to see the drones fly through attic here, maybe in an attempt to destroy the shield. So we're going to see intel rained out here. But yes, it's refreshing to see different abilities here for strategy and different abilities for, something's going to put on tape here. Squash is going to go down, I think from attic there on the side. Smith is going to be throwing down his firebolt here from the Capital crossbow. Going to get a piece of Thunderhawk. So Goyo, who intends to flick fire damage, is actually going to receive some himself here. Schmitz is going to be doing the same thing again here. No result this time, though, as defenders are wiser. But Thunderhawk just continues to eat utility as he is taken down to 26 health.
So what we're seeing now from Georgia Tech, they're not swinging anything early. Instead, they're just waiting, really playing this one passively for UAH to swing on through. Inscrupulous is gonna do that, mowing down 2. JP gets 1. Jello Shots finally can recover that, but it simply does not matter. UAH, they don't care. They are gonna win no matter the circumstance. And a round that started slowly, that started to build, and then UAH just absolutely sent it, and they won the round. So much so that Mighty Africa has just abandoned the lobby, not going to play in this one, and I think that is pretty indicative to the mindset of this team. Maybe maybe you've smashed your keyboard into the ground so hard, you've thrown your mouse across the room that somehow your game quit, right?
No.
I mean, honestly, at this point, that could be a reasonable assumption because it is just destruction that we're witnessing right now. And I would not blame Georgia Tech. I personally would not blame them if they just simply, they're tired of this. They want to go home, have a good sleep, prep for class tomorrow. It's been a long night.
Jay-Z. Now, there may be destruction within this game, but will it result to destruction in the real world? I don't know. Squash taken about by himself. He already was the first one to put in the chat saying, and I quote, so maybe that was the case. Maybe he is getting his spare keyboard and his spare mouse. But I have to imagine, as we know, Ubisoft is a wonderful provider of this game, and maybe sometimes, as we all know, this game is not completely perfect, Jay-Z, and maybe it's just shut down, and we can't assume. I mean, we can assume the worst if we really want to, but I mean, this is a gamer moment, if you will. I mean, just a classical rehost. I mean, maybe this is the momentum shift that we need. What do you think?
Well, I will actually mention one thing. We have seen we have seen real world destruction in Collegiate Siege before. I believe Lou Kobe, a player for UT Dallas, he was playing a game, on cafe, just doing his thing, rappelling on the cocktail window, looking to make something happen. But then all of a sudden, someone comes flying out a window, goes for the jump out, wins the entire game, or wins the round, not the game, just by taking him out. And UTD at that point, they were down bad. Here's what happens. Lukobe punches his monitor. half of it is shattered. He posts this on Twitter, so this is verified, by the way. Half the monitor is shattered, and he has to play the last 2 rounds, the losing 2 rounds, but the last 2 rounds he plays with half a monitor. So just to say that it does happen, right? Even in collegiate, even at this level, people can sometimes get a little bit out of hand. And
You know,
although I don't think that's what happened here, not going to rule that one out because always fun to see.
it is always fun, yeah, it's always fun to speculate too, add a little spice into the broadcast. I mentioned, that's happened a lot of times, and I at least give the credit to, if that did happen, to care about this game so much. These are students ultimately at the end of the day. We're all students, and we're able to, come play this game and at least compete at a level to represent our school. And so, people have committed time and energy and mental fortitude to play this game over and over, to strategize, some more than others we've seen even tonight. But ultimately, I think you have to at least respect both teams coming out here, and that may be the reason why that happened tonight. Maybe, but I don't know. Not a broken keyboard. I mean, I think the keyboards are intact. Maybe we can get our observer to maybe comment on that. But we'll see how it goes. But ultimately, I mean, you're right. This is the last 2 rounds, presumably the last 2 rounds. But we'd like to see at least this come together more. Um, I want to see this end at least respectively and all.
Yeah. I would love to see Georgia Tech make this comeback, right? And finally, we've got our players back in the lobbies, so we're not going to have to wait too much longer to see that one happen. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about Georgia Tech, right? And what we've seen from them on defense. And I've got to say, I haven't hated their setups. They are playing as a team should respond in this situation. When you see such aggression, when you see a strong attack that comes out and they just don't waste any time, it is good to play back, right? You slowly retreat back into the bomb site. You don't have to hold any extended positions. You're not going for any crazy roam plays. And Alabama-Huntsville, they just don't seem to care that the strategy of Georgia Tech is exactly what should be the correct counter for this. They are just walking in and winning the fights regardless. Because the scoreline is what it is, right? Because this has been 5 unanswered attacking rounds, I think this is the last chance for Georgia Tech to really just throw everything at them. And what I mean by that is, screw what you think is right. Screw what I think is right. Sure, I think you should probably play passive here. You got to lock down this site, use that utility well, but the fact that it hasn't worked on 6 defensive rounds now in a row, that very same strategy, it is time to roam. It is time to get aggressive. Just bring out a clash, maybe. Do something that Alabama-Huntsville will have to completely change for. Because whatever they're doing right now, they're running this default strat, the one that I would expect to see and I would expect to work. Because Alabama-Huntsville do not seem to care, Georgia Tech need to have changed this up a while ago, but if not then, why not now? Why not change it up now? Squash, maybe he was trying to do so, but Unscrupulous will already remove that player. Candy Cane with the follow-up onto Jello shots. Now another, cutting down Thunderhawk, and it is once again all crumbling to an end for Georgia Tech.
Why Shogun's gonna get done, take care of Unscrupulous, but I mean, we haven't even talked about the blitz that Taciturn brought. Maybe we won't even get to see it into fruition. JP's gonna take care of Mighty Africa, and Schmitz is gonna take care of Wise Shogun. I really wanted to see the highlight of the blitz coming in to sight, but nevertheless, frags rained out early, and Alabama-Huntsville sticking to their normal ways despite the delay from the pause as a player left for Georgia Tech. But strictly business for the University of Alabama-Huntsville because they get the job done yet again.
Strictly business, maybe that's stretching it. Bringing out the blitz, I mean, come on. That's definitely more creative thinking. And now, pulling out the Cav. Now, some may say, oh, this is probably just going to be 6 pick, but no, this is the Taciturn. He's got a Google Sheet, an Excel spreadsheet with links to clips of interrogations that he's had in a comp game. You did not hear me correctly. At least this is what I gathered from some shenanigans in a Discord channel the other day. But this man pulls out the Caveira when an opportunity presents itself. And given the one-sided nature of this matchup, now is as a good time as any. Inscrupulous will be joining the Cav pick in its nature of an interesting roamer, bringing out that pick to just jump up and down hatches, utilizing that T5 as you will. Same thing goes for JP. You've got the Vigil, another roamer. Same thing goes for Schmitz, another roamer.
Yeah.
Big guns on the board. The one thing that is not a roamer would be Candy Cane. You're bringing out the Frost. Yes, it is an unorthodox and unexpected pick, but we'll maybe expect to see Candy Cane play a little bit more on this bomb site. Oh no. I did not realize what we were looking for, but we are looking at a Boss G, ladies and gentlemen. We've got JP pulling out the Vigil and going with just the absolute disrespect play.
No, I please. These people have families. I mean, I don't want to see this happen like this. I mean, you mentioned it, almost the, 4 out of 5 roaming meta, and he does not get it. Squash is going to take care of JP. So that was the one time I think you could extend out there. Schmitz is going to fall to the gun of Jello shots. So a solid start here for Georgia Tech. I think we've said that too many times before, though. So we'll see if they can capitalize on these first 2 picks. Squash is going to fall to the hand of Candy Cane. And we're going to see another one fall from Georgia Tech. And it is all evened up 3-3.
Unfortunate turn of events there. I mean, at some point, there isn't much you can do, because UAH are doing all they can to seemingly throw this round away, and despite that, they are still managing to win this one out, or at least to look solid. They've gone from a 5v3 back to a 3v3 to a 2v2 now. You've got players running outside. You've got players swinging upstairs, downstairs, every which way. And just to remind you, even though we've seen no gunfights actually happen on the bottom floor, that is the basement bomb site. We're actually supposed to be attacking this bottom floor and defending this bottom floor, but until now, we haven't seen anybody, even defenders, on the same floor as the objective. Candy Cane and Unscrupulous will both make their retreat back to this site, and Thunderhawk will make his aggression. But Unscrupulous says no.
Dear
UAH, in destructive fashion, will take the series. Pardon me for not sounding enthusiastic, but that last round does not deserve it.
You're right. I don't even know if they entered the building, to be honest with you, frankly. I'm not entirely sure if Georgia Tech had entered the building, or let alone the floor that needed to get on to even put pressure on the bomb site. But an impressive outing by Alabama-Huntsville. I don't know what more could you say. I think it's been the same story all night. But just wow, I'm just lost for words right now.
Much you can say, right? I mean, we've said about everything there is about how powerful Alabama-Huntsville have looked. There was nothing that Georgia Tech could throw at them to take them down. I didn't see as much adaptability as I would have liked from Georgia Tech, and of course, that is a point of concern for them going forward. Of course, when we talk about what makes a team good, what makes a team strong, it's their ability to pivot on the fly, change up their strategy, not only between the rounds, but even within the round. Have your IGL make the call. It's time to rotate. It's time to change up our strategy. This is something that UAH proved they could do all night long. I mentioned it during their attacking phase on Oregon, how they never did the same attack twice. Tech did the same defense. Not once, twice, 3 times. Every single time, they went with the pretty identical setup. At some point, you have to look and say, I guess we're just not winning this normally. Our normal strats, civilized siege, is not going to win us the game. And while in that situation, you would expect UAH to take the round, they clearly look like the dominant team, sure. But you shouldn't resign yourself and turn yourself over to that kind of defeat. You can still change up your strategy. At some point, you've got to have a creative mind on that team to say, nothing is working at all. I want a clash. I want a castle. I want a Capcan. I want a Frost. I want all this ridiculousness to be in play, because at some point you have to look at that and say, we have to pull out all the stops. We have to just do something, and by some miracle, maybe we can take a round. But Alabama-Huntsville, they proved that just was not possible tonight.
Yeah, and I think this is the first time between you and I casting together that you brought out your adaptability speech post match,
Post
if you
match.
will, post match. So, that is tough to see. I mean, that is just you're right. There was no flexibility, adaptability whatsoever, and ultimately it wasn't the demise of the team. But I think at the same time, if you're Alabama Huntsville, on the flip side of the coin, you got to experiment a little bit of some strats. Not entirely sure if the big window, quick smoke was an ace in their pocket, or if they were just trying it out on a team. So I guess both teams get to grow from this experience, and ultimately get better on both sides.
Hoping to see some growth here from Georgia Tech because they did show that they are a capable team. I was impressed in those early rounds when they were able to start off their attacks on Cafe specifically so well, right? Their attacks on the first floor bomb site, they were clean, at least initially. They got some good progress, but then things started to stall out. With time, you put in the work, and that will become a lot smoother. And I think this Georgia Tech team, who's been quite formidable in the past, can be that strong team to be reckoned with again. But we're not going to have to speculate any further about these two teams. We've got our interview ready to go with Alabama-Huntsville player The Taciturn is here with us. My friend, just give me your initial thoughts after the 14-0.
It was a really fun match, I suppose. I didn't get to see too many people. I was the cams guy for the match. Um,
Gotcha.
I guess most of it went. I don't know. I was actually kind of surprised we did that well. Normally, we throw a lot more rounds on attack.
I guess I just want to. My first question to you is: I think Jay Z and I both pointed out throughout the broadcast that you guys had, I guess, unorthodox strategies, both on Cafe, not so much on Oregon. We didn't get to see you guys really defend on Oregon, but on Cafe, we were surprised on how many unorthodox strats you had. What has kind of inspired you to that, and not just playing in the default strategy meta, if you will?
So it actually boils down to predictability. Most people don't know how to deal with unexpected situations. So if you can find a strat that people don't expect, it's a lot harder for people to counter. It's not by the books.
Jay Z.
Sure. I mean, yeah, that's absolutely right. It's something that we've seen a lot of these top teams really adapt. I mean, you guys are in the open league this season, and I think you probably wanted to be an invite and competing for that higher prize. But going forward into this one, given your performance here tonight, and given the very few teams you've actually lost to at all in the recent weeks in the Collegiate Siege ecosystem, how do you think your chances fare going forward? And are there any teams that you think are going to present you with a challenge?
I would hope to see that. I believe TTU eventually, if we run into them, that should be a good game. I know they're a really good team, and I would just say I mostly look forward to just facing teams in general. Don't play too much of Siege in comp scene otherwise, so it's always fun to just play against teams in the end.
Awesome. Well, that is good to hear. Well, you kept that game incredibly short, so I'll keep this interview short as well. Two more questions before we send it out. One, is there a central voice on your team? I'm always curious, when we see teams, pivot on the fly and change up their strategies so much. Is there one IGL figure on your team? Do you spread that role, or is it more of a hive mind kind of situation?
Most of it boils down to Candy. He's normally the IGL that goes down for it. If it comes down to just making up strats on the fly, though, it's usually just the hive mind sort of mindset. Just throw something out.
Awesome. Well, that is good to hear. And the last thing I'll do is I'll pass the mic to you. I'll let you shout out your teammates, your organization, anyone who you'd like to give you this brilliant win and backing you that way. The mic is yours.
Uh, I wish UAH Esports would actually give us some sponsorships, please. Thank you, UAH. Help us. Otherwise, nah, it's just fun working playing with the guys. Candy,
Awesome.
JP. I like to rush with JP a lot.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you tuning in for this interview and hopping in the interview booth. We look forward to see you guys going forward because clearly you guys know what you're doing. So we hope you have a great night.
Hope you did too.
All right. So long. Well, ladies and gentlemen, a pretty quick match. A pretty quick match. So you can go right back onto your studies. You can go right back onto your evening, and we will as well. That is going to do it here for Collegiate R6 tonight. But tomorrow, we've got a night full of matchups, 4 games, the main channel and the Bravo channel. Right now, we've got 2 matches lined up for each starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. So keep an eye on the Twitter, on the Discord, on the Twitch channels for those. But until then, that is going to do it for us tonight. I have been Jays Wills, joined by Barrett, our wonderful observer Max D in the booth, and of course, the wonderful Tango Mango Down. Thank you all for tuning in, and we hope you have a fantastic rest of your night. So long.
Ain't no love like a real love, but it goes so fast. All tied up like a captive. I want you. Used to pay my mind like standing on rainbows, playing it cool. I haven't felt this in ages, and I've no patience. So won't you please stay a bit longer? You're making me stronger, making me stronger. Stay a bit longer. You're making me stronger, making me Ain't no luck finding real love. Gotta know where to look. Time moves fast, and I've grown up. Yeah, I want to. Used to pay my mind like standing on rainbows, playing it cool. I haven't felt this in ages, and I've no patience. So won't you please stay a bit longer? You're making me stronger, making me stronger. Stay a bit longer. You're making me stronger, making me What can I do to make you